All right, well, it is 1 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started, be cognitive of everyone's time being valuable. My name is Alan Whitehouse, and for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to give you a little bit of a presentation about here to kind of show you how TrueSky can help you reforecast, especially in turbulent times. I'm going to start with a couple of slides, and then I'm going to show you our application, so it's not just going to be all slideshows. Now, just so everyone knows, all of your phones are on mute. And we're going to keep it that way until throughout the presentation. Again, most of us are probably working from home right now, so kids and dogs and everything else in the background. Then at the end, we will open it up for questions. You'll be able to put questions in the TrueSky or in the GoToWebinar question box, and then I will do my best to answer them at the end. If as you're having this thing, if there's problems or whatever, you can't hear me, something like that, then go ahead and type that in the chat box and let us know somebody is going to be monitoring that, and we will try our best to help you with that, okay? Really, we're going to allow you to focus on the high-value things of doing budgeting and forecasting. And as part of you or most of you, or odds are using Excel right now today, you know, we're in these times when you're having to reforecast. We don't know how long business is going to be in upheaval mode. You know, could it be 2 more weeks? Could it be 2 more months? You know, for most of us, that is an open-ended question. So you're having to constantly look at your numbers and readjust and go forward on that, right? And that's really one of those areas where TrueSky is going to help you. And again, the 3 areas of people that we help are contributors. And those are the people that are putting the numbers in, and we're going to let them go through it, reduce the effort and the amount of time that it takes. If you're in the finance group, we're going to minimize all of that work that goes along with publishing stuff in Excel while increasing the quality of the data that you get back. And then at the end of the day, we're going to give you more meaningful information that's going to reduce risk and avoid surprises as you go forward. All right. So again, we know that there's a lot of pressure on people to start doing more and more budgeting. Well, if you're not reforecasting, why should you really think about doing it? And again, I'm guessing most of you have this, and maybe not so much these words, but you kind of know this in the back of your mind, right? You've got to make sure that you've got alignment of your business and everyone in your business now, helping give people direction and give them a roadmap for the next few weeks, the next few months, or the next few years, depending on the situation. You really need to start reforecasting to think about allocating and reallocating your different resources, right? Especially now that you've got people that are not necessarily working in your office, that are working from remote. Maybe some of what they can do is limited. So how do you reallocate tasks and stuff to make maximize what limited resources you have? Again, we need to always make sure that people are being held accountable to what they're doing. And, reforecasting really is going to be what you need to help adapt to change as you go forward in this new kind of world. And then again, reforecasting allows you to adjust and readjust and readjust and continue to adjust as things change. So when you do reforecasting, you're going to get more improved predictability, right? So right now, doing a budget that goes out 12 months, that's not really going to help you or really work well, because the further you go out now, especially in today's environment, the quality of what you get declines. So every week further you go out, every month go out, how close you're going to be to those numbers is going to decline, right? Because you have to make so many assumptions, and we really have so little data as to what things are going to happen, and that's going to lead to wrong decisions. Other reasons why you want to reforecast is that's to really, the more frequently you do it, you're going to increase the quality of your numbers. It's going to let you make adjustments. You're going to know where to take the business and how to, align resources. And if you can get more people involved, especially during this time, who all maybe be closer to the phrase, closer to the action, that know something other people might not, you're going to get more value out of the end of the day, out of your budget. So things to consider when you're doing budgeting and forecasting, and I'm going to show you a little bit of our application, is do you have the data that you need right now to make business decisions? How fast and how often can you do these reforecasts? Again, if it's going to take you 6 months or 3 months to get ready to do a reforecast, well, you're going to be way behind the ball. Who should you be getting to input into all this? Again, open up your mindset during these times as to who might have information that you can use to make business decisions going forward. What should you be tracking? Should you be doing everything, or maybe you just need to be focusing on a subset of items that are really more important? How are you going to handle all the different what-if scenarios? You know, are we locked down for 2 weeks? Are we locked down for 2 more months? You know, how does that affect your business and what you're going to change and how you do? All right, and then how do you get at that data? How do you visualize it? How do you see it? So all right, with that, I'm going to show you our application, okay? Again, let's make sure people can see it right here. Hopefully everyone's seeing, and if you don't see right now up on your screen Excel, then please somebody let us know, and I'll figure out what's going on with the GoToWebinar thing. But what I'm going to show you is end user interaction within TrueSky. And from an end user point of view, you get to continue to use Excel, which is great about our application, is because your users are going to be able to pick this up really, really quick with minimal training, minimal pushback, and everything else. And again, now we're not just Excel. We have a complete back-end database that gives you security, integration to your data sources, and a whole ton of other functionality. But your users are going to be able to, you know, hit the ground running when you deploy something like TrueSky. So I'm going to go into this little button right here that's called the Hub. And this is the central area that a user goes to do all of their interactions with TrueSky. Okay. Again, you're not having to worry about shared drives and emailing Excel workbooks back and forth and checking in and checking out and so forth. And I'm going to focus here to start with under assignments. Now, TrueSky allows you to do budgeting, planning, forecasting of any pretty much business process that you can think about, whether it be financial, whether it be revenue, capital expenditures, CapEx, compensation, project costing, project revenue. All of those kind of things are possible within TrueSky. We are also an analytics engine. We are also a reporting and dashboarding engine. I'm going to show you some of that as we go forward. So assignments are how people get data into the system. I'm going to focus on my little grouping of assignments that we've bundled that are called Reforecast. And how I'm going to start this process is talk about getting data in the first time. So within TrueSky, we're going to give you a lot of controls that you don't have necessarily within Excel, like the ability to control start and end dates as to when people can work on TrueSky and not, as well as complete approval flows and so forth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a budget entry form. Now, in your minds, what I want you to do at this point is go back in time, maybe about 5-6 months. So let's say you're getting ready to do the initial budget. That's what I'm going to start you here with, right? And this is something that maybe you're doing in September, has to be due in October, something like that, starting October, November for your big once-a-year budget, right? So your users would come into TrueSky originally and see a form like this, where it tells them what they're budgeting. You're able to give them some notes about what they should be thinking about and kind of rules, validations, whatever. But over here, this is going to be your main input form. Now, down the side here, you have the ability to slice and dice your data. So you can budget, by location, by department, by business unit, by whatever the case may be. And again, these are the different filters and slicers that you see are going to be completely up to you and your organization. We're also going to integrate to your source data system. So maybe it's your ERP system, your accounting system. So when you add a new department, you add a new account, we pick these up automatically. The other thing I like to point out is that TrueSky supports unlimited budget versioning. So this is where the Reforecast is going to come in really, really handy, because you can start with an initial budget and then reforecast off of that initial and reforecast and reforecast and reforecast as you go through. So now, I'm not going to go through, I don't have time today to go through every single individual feature that TrueSky has in there, but I am going to focus on a couple just so you know where we're coming from. So this is a budget form, and again, in your environment, your budget forms would look completely up to you and what you want to do. So not just bringing back 12 months of budget and 12 months of actual and 12 months of variance. You could have multiple prior years of budget exposed, multiple prior years of actual exposed, and so forth. All the color, the shading, completely up to you. Again, we also have security. So if I don't get access to the company cars account, I won't even see it on these lists. But for your users to start working, it's really easy, right? I can just start typing in like I can today in Excel. I can do a copy paste. I can do a click and drag. If I want to start with some of the numbers from last year instead and put those into the system and paste those in, great. I can start that way as well. So as an end user, it's very, very easy for them to hit the ground running, pick up, and start doing budgeting. And the moment they hit save, their numbers are going to be saved to the back-end database where they're instantly available for any user in the organization with the right security to see those numbers in real time. You're not going to have to input or email Excel documents, go to a shared drive or whatever. Everything we do is real time. Now, within TrueSky, there's going to be a lot of features and functionality that we have that's going to help take budgeting to the next level, not just what Excel has. So as an example, I'm not going to go into all of them, but we give you audit trails. Every time data changes in the application, you've got a full history of who made the change, where, and when. So again, as you're doing more and more reforecasting, you're going to be able to see how your numbers are changing over time and who's editing what. We give you the ability to add commentary, to add notes and attachment to your numbers that travel with the numbers, so you can centralize all of your data into one place with TrueSky, so you don't have to go hunt and peck when you're trying to do further analysis or try to find those subschedules and so forth that you might have in there. We give you the ability to do bulk data manipulation through our data tools, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as we get to the reforecasting process. But again, these are a series of tools that are designed to get your users in and out of the budgeting process quicker and with less effort, and to improve the quality of your numbers. We give you the ability to add rules into your budget capture, such that if people aren't meeting rules, they're getting immediate alerts, right? And these can be very broad or very specific, right? In my example here, if their budget increases from a 0 to 10% over last year, they're getting a green. If they're over 20%, they're getting a yellow. Or if they're over 10%, less than 20, they're getting a yellow. If they're over 20%, they're getting a red, right? So again, you're giving immediate feedback and improving the quality of your numbers. So if you're going into a reforecast and you've got to make cuts, right here they know whether or not they've hit the targets that you want them to hit. Now, we also give your people a ton of information at their fingertips to get the job done in real time, especially in these times where things are changing on a daily basis. So as an example, if I'm working on the forecast, and I'll show you that in a little bit, and I wanted to know, how did I spend this $1.2 million last year? Instead of me having to wait for the accounting or finance group to run a report for me and send it back, I can actually do a real-time, well, I'll have to show you in a different example because this one doesn't actually have it set up, I guess, right now. But I can do a real-time drill down back to my source data, and I can see all the AP and purchase order transactions that I have in the system. So again, giving people information at their fingertips. So I'm going to put in just another couple of numbers here. As you can see, I've got some numbers here ready to go right here in my budget and so forth. I'm going to hit save. So now my numbers have gone into the back-end database. This is in September. Everything's good. The budget's gone through. It's gone through the approval cycle or what have you. And now we're going to fast forward to today. You decide it's time to do a reforecast. So I'm going to close this form down. And I'm going to go to one that has been designed for reforecasting. So again, they open up their assignment. They're going to see a thing that talks about doing reforecasting here. Again, whatever other kind of rules that you want to roll out to them and so forth. But now I'm going to go over here to this tab, and you're going to see the screen's going to look a little bit different. Again, I can still pick a location and department that I want to work with, but now I've got some different forecasting and versioning that I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and retrieve data. And you're going to see this screen here. And I'm going to show you this interactivity that we can give your users. Again, helping you improve the concepts of budgeting and forecasting and reforecasting here right now. And again, everything we do is live in real time, right? So we're not embedding anything in Excel. So again, right here, high level, right? I'm seeing my budget for 2020, and if I span that out, that was the budget numbers that I just put in, okay? And again, I'm showing them, again, you're going to reforecast. It might be nice if they know all of the actuals, whereas before they didn't get all the actuals because you were midway through the year. Now I know exactly where 2019 ended up, okay? But then here, let me look at the reforecast, right? So I'm going to expand this out. Now, again, obviously, you don't want them reforecasting actuals, but you do want them on a go-forward basis. We're now coming up into May, but my numbers are blank here, right? So my forecast numbers, they're blank. Now, if that's how you want to reforecast, great. You can have your people do kind of like a zero-based budgeting and start from scratch and reforecast. Maybe that's one methodology that you want to use. But I'm going to show you a different thing that we also support. As a user, maybe I'm going to find it helpful to take my original budget, and you can see my forecast here, my reforecast here is blank as well. I'm going to take my original budget, and maybe I want to use that for the basis for my budget coming up. So I want to copy those numbers in, but I don't want to have to do it all by hand and everything else. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to run a little routine that's called copy initial budget. And now I can say, okay, what is my target reforecast? I'm going to do Reforecast version 1, which is what I'm working on. And now, if I want, I can even add a bulk adjustment factor. So maybe I want to reduce everything by 25% so I can see what that looks like without having to do all that work myself. All right, and it's going to go through and do all that, give me a little bit of back-end message, let me know what it's going to do. And I'm going to give you one more example too. So I'm going to do for my secondary reforecast, I'm going to just adjust it by 10%, right? So they've got both to kind of compare right there. Now again, I could have done these all manually by hand, but this is a big time saver here. So now I'm going to go ahead and re-retrieve my numbers. And now you're going to see that it's going to bring back the updated, copied, and bulk adjusted numbers for me to continue to work with. So again, you could do this for your people. You could let your people do it by themselves, depending on, again, how they like to work, what kind of control you want to have, and so forth. So right here, you can see now my forecast numbers have been put in. And if I compared this to my budget over here over last year, and if you look at, say, again, it's tough to see all on one screen here, but if you look at, say, May, and that was 26, and that's 12, yeah, we came down about the percentage that we talked about right there. And again, if I look at my reforecast too, you'll see that those numbers are slightly different. You know, the 10% decrease versus the 25% decrease. So now I've got my budget numbers in here. I've done my big bulk decrease by 25%. Let me expand this a little bit. What can I do? Well, you know what? I could go ahead right now, hit save, and be done. Submit them for approval. Let people see the numbers and be done with it that way. Or I can go ahead and start doing some additional manipulation. You know, this number's a little too high. I'm going to lower that one manually. Again, I'm just going to copy this one all the way across because that's what I want to do. But also, now is when our things like our data tools come into play. All right, so in the data tools here, maybe now I've seen all these and I didn't like the 25 and I don't want to run the routine again, so I'm going to highlight these ones. And now I'm going to come up here and I've got a whole bunch of other capabilities to them. I'm going to say percentage here. And now I'm going to do a further 5% decrease. And in bulk, it just decreased all my numbers for me right then. Or maybe I want to take these random cells right here, and I want to increase all of those by 1,000. So again, really rapidly letting your people manipulate the numbers. Or here's another great thing that I like. Maybe you want to put in some analysis that you've got. So maybe you've come up with things like, okay, what are the numbers going to look like if we get back to our normal business in the summer? So if you look at this, I'm going to put in a really big number so you can see some big changes here as we go forward, right? So now when I hit return to normal for summer, and you look at those numbers, you'll see that it allocated more into the summer months, right, or the heavy months of July and August, and less into that. Or maybe you're going to plan, okay, what happens if things do get back to normal in the summer, but we get slammed with a big rush of orders or whatever, right? So now I hit replace, and there, great, you see it actually even bumped them up more. Or maybe we're going to say, okay, what happens now if we want to come back to the fall, right? And I hit replace, you'll see it allocated more to the fall. So now we're giving your people these ways to do a lot of different reforecasting, do these different kind of analysis views of their numbers, put their numbers in different ways, right, without increasing the level of work that they have to do. So now, if you want to start updating this forecast every week if you wanted to, every month if you wanted to, on a rolling basis, you've now got the tools that allow you to do that without increasing the amount of effort it takes to get through the process. And that's really the value that TrueSky brings to the table here. You're going to be able to reforecast. And again, as we go through this whole crazy world that we're in today, on a regular basis, reforecast, and optimize your business as best as is possible given the conditions around us. All right? So those are tools that we give you from a capture point of view. Now, I talked a little bit about the analytics. We also give you the ability to do reporting, and that's reporting, not too exciting, but we do have that complete reporting. But now I also want to focus a little bit on the dashboarding capability. So what I've done here, let me expand this out here for you. I'm going to close my filter pane here. This is an example of a TrueSky dashboard, okay? Now, these dashboards can not just display data, but they can also be interactive. So on the fly, you can decide, okay, do I want to see actuals Yes or no, right? So now I'm showing actuals here on the screen, right? And you can see the different colors and everything else. Maybe I don't want to see my 2020 budget, so maybe I want to remove that for how I'm looking at things, right? So I've got all that capability to play here. Do I want to look at my reforecasted numbers in the situation here? And again, all of these will give you different capabilities depending on what you need to do in the organization here. Now, the final thing that we can do with all of this is, do you want to go ahead and do maybe a what if? So here's an example of a what if. So even on the fly in a dashboard, I can say, you know what, we're going to plan on increasing our revenue, and we're going to get a jump up over projected of 50%, but that can't go into effect until maybe August, or let's see what it looks like if it's October, right? And then you can see how this affects, say, things like net income. Now, unfortunately, you know, we're going to look at a compensation, you know, things that people don't like to ever talk about. Maybe we have to do something like this that goes into effect in July. How does that affect our bottom line? And expenses, well, we're going to really cut, right? And what if we can get this at 25% starting now in May? Where does that leave us, right? So on the fly, you get these dashboards, and again, it's not just it's just not line charts, right? Whatever you want to visualization, however it makes sense for you, is available within the TrueSky environment, right? So again, we've got that ability to do initial budgeting and forecasting. You got the ability to do reforecasting. You have the ability to do reporting. You have the ability to do analytics, and you have the ability to do dashboarding, all within TrueSky. And again, being able to do that on a weekly, monthly basis, maybe quarterly, but certainly not forced to do it yearly like you're being done today because of the amount of effort. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do just kind of a wrap-up slide, and then we will take a pause and open it up for any kind of questions that you might have in the audience. So what does TrueSky give you? Well, we're going to give you all the strengths of Excel. We're going to give you the flexibility, the ability to model any process, all of those powerful calculations that you get, a rich presentation environment, and high and quick user adoption. But you're also going to get all the added control. It's going to be database driven. You're going to have workflow if you want to use it. You're going to have approval, security. Those are things that I didn't even really touch on a lot during this presentation. You're going to get a whole bunch of those productivity tools like I talked about with the data tools, as well as some others. You're going to get direct integration to your source systems. And again, it's a topic I didn't talk about, which is our build once design, which really allows you to create a template once, roll it out to 100 users, and have 100 users all get their own little version of it without having to create 100 different Excel workbooks and worksheets. And in the end, you're going to be able to increase the frequency of your budgeting with less pain. You know, with that, you're going to have one version of the truth, so not, 28,000 different Excel workbooks floating around. You're going to have all that centralized control. You're going to have actionable information out there that's going to help you reduce your risk and avoid surprises. So I want to take some time to say thank you for watching our presentation. I hope we've given you a little bit of an insight into the kind of things that TrueSky can do for you from a budgeting and forecasting. If you'd like to get some more information, our contact information is up on the screen, and we'd be more than happy to do a longer presentation with you on more on a one-on-one and go into all the different areas and how TrueSky might be able to benefit your specific organization based on the kind of budgeting and forecasting that you need to do. So with that, again, I will say before people drop off, thank you very much for taking time out of your day and watching our presentation. I hope you found it at least a little bit interesting here. And with that, I'm going to go over to the questions tab. So if you put in the questions, I will do my best to answer them now. All right. So did get a message from asking if we could show salary and wage budgeting. So I would be more than happy to set up a follow-up with you, and that was for Karen, if you're still on the presentation right now. More than happy to do a follow-up with you. Compensation planning, certainly something that we definitely support. We do it for a lot of clients out there, including some clients that have literally 5,000 employees we're doing detailed compensation planning for. But it takes a little bit longer than the time that we have left in the session here. So if you want to send us a little bit of a note, we'd be more than happy to follow up, and then we can do something for you and show you exactly about how we do compensation planning. But thank you for that question, and I'm glad you're interested in seeing some more of that. So any other questions? Feel free to type them in. We'll be here for a few more minutes. Okay, so all right, so first question is, how do we charge for True Sky? We charge very reasonably for True Sky. So we really have a very, very simplified pricing model. It's really based on number of users that you need in the system. And what we can do is we can have one of the people that does licensing for us reach out to you and give you specific information. They do have a couple little questions to ask you about that, and then we can get you the right numbers, especially considering your number of user counts, what country you're in, and so forth. All right, next question is, do we have APIs with JD Edwards Enterprise One? I don't know off the top of my head if we do on Enterprise One. I know we have integrated with JD Edwards in the past. Really, True Sky was designed to be back-end system, data system agnostic, so as long as we can see the data, we can get at it from most systems. I know we have integrated with JD Edwards. I just don't know off the top of my head the specific versions of JD Edwards. So if you want to make a note, we can follow up with you, and I can get and go back and look and see a little bit more information, see if I've got specific versions to answer it for you. Okay, typical time to plan, configure, and implement. All right, so that's kind of a wide open question. All right, typical time to configure and implement. You're going to be the driver of that, right? We've got a team that does this. We could do a deployment in a week, potentially, right? Again, depends on complexity. But usually you're not going to be able to move that fast for these kind of things. So, you know, in a lot of the real world, it's, you know, 2 to 3, 4 weeks given. No, we got to have a team meeting. We can't meet with you today to talk about it, that kind of stuff. Larger projects can go on longer, but you're really going to be the driver of how long a project takes. Because like I said, this is what we do every day. We can throw bodies at it probably quicker than you can absorb, but you can drive it, all right? Okay, next question is, typically how often do your clients reforecast? That's a great question. We have some clients that, again, I'll talk about before the current world environment, right? We had clients that did once a year budget and that was it. We had clients that would do once a year big budget and then do probably 2 reforecasts a year. And then we had a couple clients that were literally doing every month, rolling forecast, budgeting, right? We had that. It's kind of a breakdown in those 3 buckets. However, we've had a lot of clients rather recently come to us, and now they want to tweak. And again, the system's there to support it. You know, they're asking us to help them with process and stuff like that, like how they should approach, because they've never done it before. But we're really getting a big call to start doing it on a monthly basis or on an on-demand kind of ad hoc basis. And again, I think that's just because so many things are changing in the world today. Can we integrate with Microsoft GP? Yep, absolutely. And that one, I know for a fact we've got an out-of-the-box connector to Dynamics GP. So that one, and again, we were talking to some clients about that the other day, so that's why I know that one off the top of my head, absolutely. How many people are typically involved in reforecasting? Wow, that's a great question. I think that really depends on the organization and the kind of reforecasting that you're doing, right? If you're such now that you're doing reforecasting and your costs are relatively fixed, right? Your costs, your expenses aren't going to change, but it's sales that is going to be the big changing thing, then it's probably just getting the salespeople involved, right? And whoever is responsible for that. If you can control all aspects, then it's everyone that you can do involved. So it's not so much who should be involved. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd be trying to get more people involved in today's environment, because more people you get involved, the greater insights as a group, that greater collective knowledge you're going to get. And again, with True Sky, you can set up security rules and everything else so people don't see what they shouldn't see. And we do all the merging automatically, right? So you'd like to be able to get more and more people involved in the reforecasting process, because again, at the end of the day, you're going to get better information. All right, let's see here what we're doing. Other question, can we integrate with Sage ERP? Yes, we can. Sage has like 1,000 different ERPs. but I know just off the top of my head, and this is not limiting to all of them, Intact, 100, 300, 500, X3, all off the top of my head. So there may be another one out there. Let me know, and I can research that one. But those are the ones that I know off the top of my head. Let's see. Will we have more training on it, right? So if you do a TrueSky deployment, then obviously, yes, there would be a training phase of your project, right, where people get trained on the application, not just how to use it, but how to maintain it, how to build upon it, and so forth. If that question was more in regards to are there other things that we might show you about what we do, and if it fits your organization, then leave us a note and we can schedule a follow-up call with you and we can show you more about TrueSky and what we can do. All right. So let's see. I'll leave it open for a little bit more questions here because we had some great questions there. So let's see. I'll leave it just another minute here. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any other questions. So again, I'm going to say thank you for taking time out of your day to watch our little presentation here. Again, at the end, I think there's a little formal pop-up when you leave. If you want some more information, feel free to fill that out or contact us at the email address or phone number up on screen there, or go to our website. There's a request more information thing there as well. But with that, I'm going to say thank you, and everyone else, have a great day.